Welcome back. Well, in late December, social media personality Andrew Tate, as we know, has been arrested in Romania along with his brother, charged with human trafficking and forming an organized crime group. Now, the high-profile arrest has certainly led to new conversations about what human trafficking is, how exactly it works. Well, Carly Church joins me now. Carly is a human trafficking survivor and crisis intervention counselor at Victim Services in Durham Region. Carly, really appreciate you giving us your time today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Can you take us back to what your experience was?
Sure. I can give you a little bit of a highlight of kind of what we kind of see in Canada or in Ontario today around human trafficking. And really what happened to me is similar to that. And really what we see when it comes to human trafficking here in Canada or in Ontario, it's oftentimes it looks like that love or the illusion of. Oftentimes what we see as traffickers are looking for somebody who's vulnerable, somebody who maybe isn't able to meet every single one of their basic needs. And they come along and they begin to get to know them in a way that maybe you only hoped somebody would. And that's exactly what happened in my situation. Somebody came along when I was struggling in my life and they learned about every detail about my life. And then they began to meet every single one of my basic needs. We call this sometimes the honeymoon stage, where they introduced me to all their friends. They made me feel a part of something, that love, that belonging. They boosted my self-esteem and my self-worth. And it really was hard to see any red flags in that stage. The biggest red flag really was it was too good to be true, and who wants to believe that? It wasn't till later that those red flags would come in, and this is what we see quite commonly, where somebody then begins to stretch your boundaries, your morals, or your values. Things don't come free anymore. It becomes very psychological. You feel indebted to them. They've done so much for you. They've treated you so well, that now you owe them something. And that's kind of how it begins.
And then, as you say, you sort of get into that spiral, something that we have talked about and seen happening right around the world, but now we're zoning into what we're seeing in Canada, specifically where you are in Durham Region. What is the situation there right now? As you heard me talk about, we know that recently a couple of individuals were arrested, found, I guess, at a hotel. They were spotted there. The police arrested them. 2 women were found in that room.
So oftentimes what we're seeing is, I want to just put it really bluntly, I guess, that this is one of the fastest growing crimes in Canada, and it is happening in every single community across our country. And something similar to what we're doing in Durham is we've really been able to start to identify those red flags and those signs, and be able to be as proactive as possible. So we're
what
able
can someone
to
do? What can someone do if there's someone's listening right now to get help, to get out?
I think there's many different ways. It's really hard to reach out for help, but it's really important to know that there are people there that will answer those calls. I can tell you a little bit about what we're doing in Durham Region. One huge thing that we started to do is we are really focused on a victim or client-centered approach, where we put the individual at the center of every single investigation. It's not about catching the bad guy always. It's about making sure that person can meet every single one of their basic needs. And we have many programs through Victim Services and through other community organizations to be able to help them do that. It's also really important that education and knowledge is power. And right now I think what's really important for young people is to educate themselves, but also for families and parents to be able to educate themselves on what human trafficking truly looks like. It might be shocking to some people, but it doesn't look like those movies where people are picked up and kidnapped off the street. So we have a couple of programs. One, the STEP program, it's a Parents and Prevention Night. We offer it once a month, and coming up in March, we are having a youth symposium where youth across Durham and Toronto will be able to be educated on human trafficking, those warning signs, what it really looks like.
Such important resources, and it's really great to have you to talk about this, Carly. We want to stay in touch on this as it's such an important issue here. Carly Church, human trafficking survivor and crisis intervention counselor at Victim Services in Durham Region. Stay safe and well, Carly. Really appreciate this. All right.